Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Welcome to the Dukes of Gaming. Today, we will be discussing an article discussing Ken Levine's Hellscape, whether or not we'll ever see a game from the BioShock developer ever again. We'll get into some VR talks as well, but it's good to be here with my fellow Dukes of Gaming. First and foremost, we need to have a moment of silence for the fallen Duke, Alfredo. He died peacefully in his sleep on Thursday at the ripe old age of 99. Not a whole minute, but we'll see how he's feeling next week. How is everybody doing? I had a great week. I hope everybody else had a great week. Real quick, don't forget to follow the Dukes of Gaming for more weekly gaming discussions. Leave a like on the video and tell us if you want more. But before we begin, let me check in with my fellow co-hosts, my other Dukes of Gaming, starting with the Duke of Rocket League. How are you doing today, Cole?
Hey, good. I'm excited. This year is going to be something. And when we get to what we've been playing, this year's already looking better than last year. I have actually played a game that would have qualified for my game of the year last year.
I agree with that. I played the same game. We're going to get into it for sure. I can't wait to talk about it. Next, we have the Duke of Design. How are you, Ben?
What's up? Doing very well. Excited to talk to you guys.
Excellent.
Aw. Oh, thanks, buddy.
Good to talk to you, too.
My cheeks are red.
Taylor, we have the Duke of Nostalgia down there. How are you?
Well, I was doing pretty bad up until that statement by Ben. So now I'm doing great. Now I'm doing so. You know.
All you need are some words sometimes. All you need are those positive reinforcements. You know.
You're right.
I have a question. Is that a Yu-Gi-Oh card by the LaCroix bottle? Or
No,
the LaCroix
those are Pokemon Magic cards. Those are. I'm sorry, I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh. I know.
Dorks.
All of it's for dorks. Come on.
That's true. But since we're talking, did we lose Cole?
Hi, Cole.
He's back.
Everything's going great today.
Cole, since you singled yourself out, what have we been playing this week?
We have been playing PlayStation Plus dropped Deep Rock Galactic. And it is free to play. And I remember hearing about this game came out about a year ago on Steam first. And I think this is now finally launched. Was this a launch on PlayStation 4 or 5?
Yeah. This was a PS Plus launch.
Okay, so it's a PS Plus launch. That's awesome.
And it's only on PlayStation 5, like console-wise, right?
No, it's on PS4.
It's on PS4 as well.
No, I'm sorry. I meant, is it on Xbox?
I'm not
actually,
sure.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I will check that.
It is on Steam, though, so I know that. And I remember it coming out, and it's got an 8.5 on Metacritic. This is a unique game, and it is awesome. It's 4 players, up to 4-player co-op, and you basically play as these drinking gnomes, and you get on a drop pod. It's a mining game. You drill down into these planets, and you go on these expeditions searching for minerals. It's very Minecraft, Destiny-ish feel, a little bit of No Man's Sky.
I was going to say, I've played a game where I just go to planets and dig for minerals, and it's called No Man's Sky.
Yeah, but the gameplay is really good. So, like, the gameplay is incredible. The frame rate's really smooth. The graphics are great for what they are. Thomas, what do you want to add?
It's like an orgy of so many different games. I'm sorry. It's a lot of Minecraft.
Why are
It's
you
a
sorry? There's
lot of
nothing wrong with an orgy. Come on.
nothing wrong with an orgy, but this is what this game is to me. It's Minecraft. It has a little bit of Lord of the Rings in terms of how the dwarves like kind of interact. Like, oh, buddy, it's like it's a weird dynamic, but I love it. It reminds me of the dwarves from Lord of the Rings.
So we've been playing together. We've played probably, I'd say 5 or 6 hours together, maybe more or less an hour.
Like 5 hours. I'd say 5 hours.
And it's got this sense of adventure to it. Like we jumped in and we started playing it together for the first time, and we didn't know how to do anything, but figuring it out was incredibly fun. You don't really know what any of the minerals do. You don't know you don't know where to go. Each gnome has their own like skill trait. So you got a driller, and your driller drills through and burrows the holes to the next area. He's got a flamethrower, and then you have like a machine, like a horde, like a horde management, I guess, class, and he's got a machine gun. Then you have a scout, which is awesome, and they have their flares that they light stay lit up really long, and they can zip line ahead, and they kind of like direct everyone where to go. What's the other class? There's another one.
You said engineer?
Engineer. And that's what Thomas was. Engineer. Engineer will put platforms out for people to climb. Yeah. And what was your other gun you had?
So with the engineer, you get a hand cannon that is a really great weapon, like one shot so many of the bugs, and then you have a shotgun. So you get those two with the engineer class.
Yeah, and you need these classes too. Like they all work so well together. I can't think of anything else. Like, so when I think of like Destiny, I think of they're very, to me, when you play with Destiny characters, they all seem very familiar. Like there's not that much. Everyone could be a hunter, and I feel like you're fine. Although I haven't played Destiny in a while, but this really feels like you got to have a driller, you got to have a scout, you got to have an engineer, and so basically you go down in there. You have your goal is to get like 200 of this kind of resource. So you drill down, you get this resource. You have this thing called a mule that follows you around. It's a 4-legged robot. So you mine your resources. When your bags fill up, you have to deposit them into this mule. So this mule comes beside you. Me and Thomas are like dumping all our gems in the mule. Then we finally hit our mission and we have to escape, and hordes will come every now and then. There's like an awesome balance between like calm exploration period and then like swarms of hordes coming. And then just trying to figure it out and exploration. But at the end, you hit the button to bring the dropship back, and you got 3 minutes to get back on the dropship. So like you got to haul ass back to the dropship, or it's going to leave you. And swarms come out, and several times we died just trying to get back to the dropship, whether it's drilling through whatever or trying to get out of a hole. But it was this awesome sense of adventure to it that I don't know. I can't explain it. Like you really just have to play this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I had a great time with this game. It has potential to be one of the sleeper hits of 2022. Now, I don't know, how things progress from here, because we put like 5 hours in. It seems like there's a lot of things the game is going to show us that it hasn't showed us yet, because each mission we played, it seems like it's doing something different each time, and it's randomly generated as well. So it has that No Man's Sky ish to it, where each planet, there's a lot of similarities to each one, but each world in this is very different.
Yeah, so like when we failed and we repeated the mission, it still felt new because the cave system was different.
Because we were a couple of times where we thought like, is this the same mission we just did? And it's like, oh no, there's like one thing different. And then you go more in the level and it's like, oh, this is completely different. I remember one time we were playing last night, and Cole, would you say you were like, oh, we're about to be wrapped up with this?
Yeah.
And we were in that mission.
I was like, man, this is a super easy mission. Like this was.
Yeah, you said we're almost done. And I was like, okay. And then we get to the ship, and the ship's like, oh, we have to do this objective and then this objective, and then there's a horde coming too. And I'm like,
all hell broke loose.
We might have been in there additional 20 minutes.
Yeah, we were dropping like flies. We failed several missions because we didn't know what we were doing at the beginning, but it was awesome. It was very fun to figure out how to play. Everything's satisfying. The gunplay is satisfying. The mining is satisfying. The exploration is satisfying.
The gunplay is okay. I wouldn't say it's satisfying.
It's satisfying, but so I'm saying it's not. Yeah, it's not great, but it's satisfying.
I wouldn't want to rate this gunplay compared to like other shooters. It's not like I want to misrepresent. The gunplay is fine.
It's not what makes it special.
Like, do not go into this game thinking you're getting a shooter. Like, because there really isn't any like accomplishment you get from shooting the enemies. Like shooting the enemy is just a means to an end for you to complete your objectives. Like it's
So
not
what
like Destiny, where Destiny, you gotta kill the enemies, right? As far as I'm like, you have to kill the enemies in Destiny to advance further. You can't just like kind of skate by them all. In this game, it kind of gives you that freedom, but it's the gunplay is not satisfactory enough where you want to be shooting at them. Like you want to haul ass and get away from there.
What would you say makes this game special?
I would say it is a jack of a lot of trades. It doesn't master anything to me, but it has enough going for it in a lot of departments that matter: collaborative play, graphics, overall like mission structure. There's so many things that are so good about the game that I'm satisfied it doesn't do anything amazing.
It's got that kind of feeling that like when you're going to a mission and those doors open and it's like it's got, I don't know, it's like an adventure. It kind of reminds me of PUBG. Like when you start out, each game is going to be its own thing, and like things are going to go high. It's emergent gameplay. Like anyway.
And also, it's like like we said, there was a Minecraft component where it's like you have to mine. You're like you get a pickaxe, like in Minecraft, and you're like mining everything. Every surface of the level is mineable. Now,
It's
whether that
destructible. Everything's
leads you to,
destructible.
right, and whether that leads you to any other place, that's dependent on where you're drilling. But you can theoretically mine any place, and I think that that's super impressive. I've only seen Minecraft do that, so it's like really cool to see another game kind of take that element. I thought that was cool of it as well.
Are they voxels?
No,
Mm,
no, but it's like it kind of works the same way.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's not, it's not like individual Minecraft cubes. No,
The co-op just works so good. I think that's what makes it special. Like we were doing one level where we were playing with two other guys, and they were different classes.
that was the
And we
best.
had to, that was the best. It was the best. It was awesome. So we had to locate these pieces of this mining rig, and we had to burrow like these tubes and connect like the main rig to these little sub rigs, and then you'd have they would attack it, so you'd have to go through and repair, and you can grind on the rails to your little gnomes,
Like your
just grinding
Sonic.
through the caves like Sonic the Hedgehog. It's crazy. It's incredible.
that was the game because I was sitting there like, oh, if I have to walk all across this level, like go up surfaces, no, this is gonna suck. And then it's like, oh, you can grind on the rails like Sonic. I was not expecting to be able to do that. Was honest. I've never seen a game like a first person shooter be that dynamic since something like Mirror's Edge. I was shocked by that mechanic. And
Yeah,
this game has a whole bunch of mechanics like that where you're like, oh, this game's doing that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're all working together, trying to like. I was the driller, so I had to figure out how to drill, and they were laying the pipe behind me and repairing it and continuing it, whatever. One of the cool little mechanics is you have these illumination flares, and you get 3.
Yeah, I forgot about
and
that.
you get 3, and you can throw them, and like the physics are incredible, and they just illuminate the whole cave.
And when it gets dark in that cave, it gets dark as fuck. So when you throw one, it's like it looks really good too. And of course, in our private chat, I see laying the pipe. So yeah, there's that.
Specifically laying the pipe behind you. That was the best part.
Oh, man. But yeah, no, like the lights really do it really does show off how good the game looks. Like it looks legit like a next gen game.
It does. It feels next gen. The
Even
whole
though it's
experience
a
feels
PC
next gen.
game, it came out last year. I'm sure it looked just as good on PC, but it looks incredible.
And the idea, it reminds me of Returnal because the whole idea of the game feels
Game of the year,
gen.
Returnal. Our
Game
game
of
of
the
the year.
year.
Game of the year.
Yeah, game of the year. Duke's
Yeah,
the official.
which is the only one that matters.
But yeah, I mean, look, you should play it. The gnomes, they're laying the pipe in the illumination in the dark, laying pipe. It's unbelievable.
You're mining resources, like Mass Effect style. Who doesn't like that?
I'll definitely play with you. I'll hop on and play with you sometime this week because that sounds fun. It does sound fun. Good
It's
little
awesome.
experience.
It does sound pretty cool.
Not only is it fun, it's like it's something. It's something special. Really,
It's so fun that if I had known I was gonna have a good time with it, I would have bought this.
Yeah,
maybe not 60, but if it was like 30, yeah, I buy this. It's that good of a time. I'm glad. This is why I love PlayStation Plus. My game I'm gonna talk about is PlayStation Plus too, so I can't wait to get into that. But yeah,
we'll get into it. Don't wait.
Yeah, just
Get
go.
into it.
Get
Just
into
go
it.
into it. All right.
Yeah.
So Deep Rock Creek was Deep Rock Galactic. Deep Rock Creek is something. I didn't just make that
Yes.
That's the version in the Tennessee mountains.
up. So I've been playing a game that was suggested by our fellow Dukes of Gaming, the Duke of Design and the Duke of Nostalgia. This was on their Game of the Year list. I've been playing Hitman. Oh
1,
my
2,
God.
3.
I cannot believe that I did not pick this up sooner. So I said I was going to buy Hitman 3, but I was like, I have so many games in my backlog. If I'm going to buy a game, I have to be for sure. I have to. So I have Hitman 1. That's a PlayStation Plus game from like 3 years ago that I got. And I was like, I played the first level and was like, okay, whatever. I cut it on this week and I don't know what happened, but everything clicked. And I completed all the challenges for the tutorial mission. I'm like, all right, I get it now. I get it. And then I play up to the 4th world. And I'm like, you know what? I want to see this in next gen. Let me just go ahead and pull the trigger on Hitman 3 Deluxe Edition. Got that. Replayed all those levels in Hitman 3. Played the first level of Hitman 3 and was just wowed.
It's addictive.
It might be the most addictive game I've played in a long time. Where I'm like, I'm literally like trying to get all the beats. Like I'm addicted to doing it. I'm like, dang, there's so. I played Hitman before. Like I played Hitman Blood Money. I played Hitman Absolution, and I don't know what this game does exactly different than those games, but it's substantial. Because those games never hooked me in the same way that this trilogy, I think it's called The World of Assassination, right?
Yeah.
Like this trilogy is doing something crazy. Like I feel like I have like 200 hours of gameplay left.
Yeah.
Just when I looked at everything I have to do, and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
It's funny because like your experience with the game sounds a lot like mine, which like when I recommend the game, I don't recommend people play it this way because like for me, it was an emergent experience, and I don't want to like ruin the game for people if this is a bad recommendation for them personally, right? Mm-hmm. But when I played it, I slept on this game like a lot of people did, and the game originally came out in episodic format, and people were saying it's really good, it's really good. I waited until all the episodes were out, and then I still didn't play it, and then they made the tutorial free. So I just jumped in, I played the tutorial, and then I think I was still like finishing up the last couple of challenges on the first tutorial mission, which is the smaller of the two. And I was like, I don't care what this game costs, I'm getting it. I have to see the rest of this. And I went through each subsequent mission. Before playing the next mission, I cleared out all the challenges of the previous mission. So it was like, I did all the challenges on the first tutorial mission, all the challenges on the second tutorial mission, then finally got to Paris. Took a long ass time and got almost all the challenges on Paris. And then I was finally like, okay, I've played this game for 20 hours and I've literally played 2 levels. It's time to see the other levels.
I'm feeling that because I played it. It's been my work game. Like when I haven't like been actively working, like I just have this on the background playing it. I probably put like, I'd like to say like 12 hours in this game this week.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
And I've probably completed fully 3 levels, and I've gotten up to like the second level with Hitman 3. So it's like I'm going slow with this game, but man, is this like the systems? I didn't realize how good the systems in this game were.
Yeah.
Now, is the AI the greatest thing in the world? No. But I feel like that would rob it of so much charm.
I think my favorite AIs in video games are Hitman's, Metal Gear Solid 5's, and Breath of the Wild's, because those AIs are pretty good, but they're pretty stupid at the same time. And there's some fun things you can do with those stupid AI, and I that makes you feel like you're kind of better than them. Isn't that what we want?
Yeah.
That's true.
The AI in Hitman are stupid compared to humans, right? Because they don't act like humans act. They act like pawns on the chessboard, right? They're part of the puzzle.
Right.
So, but they're not stupid the way that like Deathloop's AI was stupid when the game first came out, where you would like shoot past their head and they wouldn't hear it.
Yeah.
It's not like unintentionally stupid. It's intentionally stupid so that you have ways to predict that they act, so that you can manipulate them and create opportunities for fun assassinations, right? So I feel like, yeah, they definitely are stupid, but it's like it is in a way that enhances the game experience rather than detracting from it. If they were too smart, it would be too hard to, and you wouldn't be able to predict them the way that you need to in order for the puzzle to actually really work.
I agree.
Great way of
I agree.
describing it,
I think the AI strikes a really good balance in between competent and silly.
Yeah.
I think it strikes the perfect balance. I think the stealth mechanics, like I remember playing Absolution and I just did not like how Agent 47 felt. It just felt weird to me. I didn't like how it felt. I tried to get into it. I put a good amount of hours into that on PS3. I just didn't like it. This one, like he's a substantial character now. Just how he move, like movement, even shooting is pretty. Like when the mission goes to shit, and you have like a gun, like you don't have like just a silent pistol. You have like an actual like AR or something. Like it's satisfying even to use that. It's not the best. It's not a third person shooter by any means, but it's enough. And I feel like it does the best with, you know, the parts that I thought the older Hitman games didn't get well. I think it hit those really well. So I'm having a great time with it. I fear how much time I'm going to put into this game this year. I really do fear. But yeah, that's what I've been playing this week. Those two games. So let's go to Ben. What have you been playing this week?
This is over the past couple weeks. I did finally beat Returnal, although in the most dissatisfying way ever.
Our game of the year, Returnal.
Yes, our game of the year, Returnal. Finally beat it after giving
tell
it
this
game of the
tell
year.
this story because it's hilarious.
Man, dude, I got to the final boss and I'm like feeling out the final boss on my first encounter with it, and I'm like, okay, this isn't too bad. I think I can probably do this, but my health is really low and I don't have any med kits, so I'm probably going to die here. I'll get resurrected at the Reconstructor and then I'll come back and hopefully I can clear it on a second try. So I get killed and I get reconstructed not too far away. I run back to the boss and the boss does not show up. And I look at my quest log and it still says to kill the boss, but there's a big hole where the boss used to be. So I jump down and I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. Are they doing like every time you die, the boss shows up in a different location? Or like, is it like a story reason that this is happening? I'm running around and I see a car and then I go a little past the car and then it's the end of the game. It just triggers the end of the game. And I don't get to fight the boss again. It plays the final cutscene. The entire time I'm confused as shit because I'm like, when is the fucking boss gonna happen? That I just only did one wave out of 3, and it never happens. It's a glitch. I glitched out on the final boss.
How did you find out it was a glitch? Did you go look this up? Did you look it up to make sure?
As the credits begin to play, I look it up online. I'm like, there's no way that this was intentional. and it was not intentional. And it is a pretty well known bug. There's quite a few people who ran into the same thing that I did. It seems as though if you use a reconstructor, which is not like a niche mechanic at all, you know, it's just the thing that you like deposit a couple ether into in order to get a second try. On the last boss, and it reconstructs you, then the boss won't show up again. So apparently there was another bug where if you use the reconstructor, then it would errantly spawn you really close to the boss and you like wouldn't have a chance to prepare or whatever. So their fix to that was just to get rid of the boss, I guess, for now. But it's not good. It was very dissatisfying to see this ending. It's I don't know. It might be too late, but they got to fix that.
Come on, there's something fun about finding a glitch in games.
There's
something, yeah.
But like right at the end there, if I had gotten to beat like to zoom past the third boss or something, maybe it would have been okay. But the fact that it was the final encounter, it was the final hill to crest, right?
What
and I felt confident that I was going to be able to do it too. It wasn't like I was banging my head against the wall. I was like, okay, this is good. I'll have a photo finish, and just totally screwed me over. So I did not go back to get the true ending. Maybe I will face this boss for real once I play the game again for the true ending some other time. Because the one thing that I forgot to tell you guys last week is that I have made a New Year's resolution with myself. 2 years ago, 2020, I made a New Year's resolution that I was going to get 2 platinums per month, minimum of 2 platinums per month. It was ambitious,
tough.
but I did it. I think I did. I think I actually did 30 platinums that year. So it was more than 2 platinums a month. I made a resolution with myself that I will get no platinums this year. I will not chase a platinum trophy this year. Because on reflection of my game playing habits last year, the fact that I only played 4 games that came out last year is a little pathetic. So I got to rectify that. And I've got a backlog a mile wide that goes back to 2019 of things that I feel like I really need to play, of games that are really great, especially narrative wise. So I'm going to try to carve out a few more of those. The first one that I went back to was Resident Evil Village, which I played with my wife after we beat It Takes Two. And that was a fantastic game. I don't feel too bad because it would not have cracked my top 3. But I had a really fun time with it. And now I'm on 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, which I've been wanting to play since 2019, I think. 2020 maybe. And it's really interesting so far. It's kind of a blend of adventure game and tactics, kind of turn-based RPG battle system. But really the story and the delivery of the narrative is what's most interesting. I think I'll want to talk about it more in depth next week, though. Once I'm a little further, I'm not quite halfway through the story. But it's really capturing my interest right now. So yeah, that's me.
Fair enough. Well, hopefully that glitch doesn't happen to majority of gamers, because that is unfortunate. Taylor.
I made no New Year's resolutions. I'm fine, just chilling. But I might amend that. I'm perfect. But that said, I have gotten into the way, Ben, you bring it up, where you didn't play a lot last year, and I think part of my problem is I got into a group of film buffs. I hate film buffs. I really hate them, but for my job, it's kind of necessary to befriend them. But they are such snobs. And at a certain point, I got to a point where I looked at a poster or a trailer and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to like that. Or yeah, that's going to be good. I kind of prejudge everything. And I don't want to do that again this year. I don't, especially with games. I want to just sort of play all games, kind of broaden my horizons, as it were. So that's my New Year's resolution. And on that note, I will be playing next week Shin Megami Tensei 5, because you've all
join the darkness.
I gotta try it, especially before Pokemon Arceus comes out, because I want a good litmus test to see how much better RPGs can be.
Honestly, I didn't. Before you go, I don't know if that's such a good idea now that I think about it. Because you might spoil, this might color what you think about Arceus.
That's why I'm doing it now. I want that
different tier of RPG right here, man.
I want it. I want that. I want something new to play. I've never played a game like this specifically. I mean, I've played Persona, but I want to play something like this. So what I played this week was Donkey Kong Country. My fiance is not a big fan of video games, never has been, but her favorite game of all time is Donkey Kong Country, and I've been trying to get her to get back into video games slowly but surely. And she literally platinum Breath of the Wild. I gave her that game when she was sick 2 years ago, and she just played the entire thing. She found every Korok, every secret item, every last inch of that game was wiped out by her. She's like, do you have anything else like this?
You found all the Korok seeds?
She found she figured out how they hid them.
Guide?
She's like,
or without a guide?
No, without a guide. Just she was sitting there.
How?
She was sick. She wasn't working.
But
But
that's like,
you have to be sick for 2 years to do that. I feel like
it took her about a year.
I tried to find the Korok seeds with a guide.
It took her about a year. It took her about a year of just constant playing that game, and she loved it.
And what did she get for that? You get a little. You get something, right? You get a loot tunic, right?
You get extra loot space.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not all that special. She just wanted to complete it. She got to a point where I just have to complete it.
That's been on my bucket list. That's the only way I asked. That's been on my bucket list for a while, but that's something I just don't see myself ever doing. But
yeah, no, I wouldn't recommend
hearing somebody in real life has actually done it, I'm like, all right, I might have to do that one day.
Yeah, no, she refused to look up guides. She just did it, and I was like, okay, you've never played a game before, but she loved Breath of the Wild. I'm like, who like, I can't blame her for that. She just has like, bad experiences with friends who are like just like Call of Duty people, and that's all they play. And like, I get that. That's a little disappointing, but so I've been trying to get her back into more different games, and she loves Donkey Kong Country. It's the only game she ever played when she was a kid. So I pulled that out and said, hey, let's play this a little bit on our train ride to New York. We went to New York for Christmas, and we came back, and we keep playing it a little bit each week and just having some fun, because I want to get her to play Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, which I think is a great game, and it'll help bring her up to like modern games a little bit more, and like modern platformers, because honestly, like I think Donkey Kong games are better than Mario games, 2D platformer wise, at very least, by a long shot. But at the same time, Donkey Kong Country is a horrible game. It just does not. I thought it was a good game when I played it the first time. I thought, oh, great game. Good. I was a kid, but now I'm coming back to it. I'm like, oh, this feels like Bubsy. This feels like a Bubsy game. This is horrible. The characters don't move naturally. The hitbox detection is all wonky. It's a cool game. But
there's some incredible frustration to be had in Donkey Kong Country.
What about you?
Incredible.
What do you like? Tropical Freeze?
Oh, I love Tropical Freeze. I love Tropical Freeze.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we're gonna finish Country, just playing through it casually, and then get to Tropical Freeze next, because I wanted to play that to feel, have more games to play. I want to broaden her horizons with games as well as mine. So
as long as you don't subvert her expectations, we're all good.
I never would. I'm no Brian Johnson. I never would.
Please don't. Please don't.
Now, before we get into our topics, y'all, I have to say I left something out of our most anticipated games last week. I'm ashamed of myself. I'm absolutely ashamed. I love Guacamelee. I don't know if I ever told y'all this. I love Guacamelee. Nobody Saves the World, which is Drinkbox Studios RPG, is launching in 10 days on Game Pass. I don't even know what to say. Like, I was like, this would have been in my top tier of like most anticipated games, and it's launching in 10 days. So if anybody's looking out for that, it's launching in 10 days. The marketing for this has been horrible.
It has been.
It's been absolutely horrible. This is one of my most anticipated games. I forgot it got delayed. So yeah, just want to put that out there.
That's weird. Yeah, I hadn't heard anything about it, and I really liked Guacamelee and Severed too.
Yeah, and you made it.
Yeah, I forgot about Severed.
You were the lead on that. So
on which one?
I know. I didn't hear about it. But, no.
Yeah, but
did not work on this
game. All right. So let's get into. Do you want to do the mailbag?
Why don't we? Yeah, we can start with that. Let's start with the mailbag.
Let me check my mail. Hold on, guys. You got mail.
We need that. We need that little.
We do need that. Okay. This is our first official Duke letter, right?
Yeah.
It came with a little wax, little symbol on the front. Had to use the candle to peel it open. Giga. It's from Giga the Cowboy, and it says, "What do you all think about the Nintendo leaks / rumors?" We'll start with Taylor here.
Okay. Well, those leaks / rumors refer to a tweet, I assume, by Marco Morrow, at New Marco Morrow, who is a quote unquote leaker on Twitter, who rightfully predicted Bayonetta 3, Kirby Forgotten Land, Pokemon Brilliant Shine, Diamond Shining Pearl, Metroid Dread, more impressively, I think, than the rest, and when WarioWare Get It Together, which is actually also pretty impressive, because that game came out of nowhere. So I think they have some legs to stand on, but it's a Twitter rumor, and those are always like 50-50. The games that they claim Nintendo is planning on releasing in 2022 include Pokemon Legends Arceus, we know, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Advance Wars 1 and 2, a casual IP, Splatoon 3, which we know, FE Echoes, Detective Pikachu on the Switch, Zelda, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess on the Virtual Console, or as a new pack of games. Who knows? Mario Rabbids 2, Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime remake, new 2D Donkey Kong, which I will say Mark O'Mara has apparently been claiming there's going to be a new Donkey Kong game for the past 5 years, and it's not been right. So we'll take this with a grain of salt. A new Pokemon Let's Go sequel. So following Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, a new sequel. And then the Breath of the Wild sequel, and a project by Monolith. That is what they claim
One other
is
one.
leaking.
There's
What other one? Oh, the Mario Kart
No.
super secret. What?
Well, GoldenEye 007.
What?
You seen this?
I didn't see that.
Leaks suggest Mario GoldenEye 007 is going to Xbox, but it was part of a Nintendo
Wow.
leak.
Weird.
Apparently,
Well, I mean, it's
'Cause
owned by Rare,
Nintendo,
right?
Nintendo, and
Hmm.
Microsoft are getting pretty close. They're getting like
handsy,
buddy.
so.
real handsy.
Mhm.
But
What do we
this
think?
list of games,
Yeah.
this list of games for me, we're getting 1/3 of these at best.
Okay, so no, I know we're getting Arceus. We're probably getting Splatoon 3 this year, 100%. I don't know if it's confirmed, but that's definitely coming out in like April. Mark
Definitely
my
getting
words.
Advance Wars.
Getting Advance Wars. We're probably getting Detective Pikachu. That's not surprising. We
That was a little doubtful. We don't even know what that is.
Well, they've had Detective Pikachu games in the past, and it's a property I think they want to push in the West because the movie did well. So I think we could see a Detective Pikachu coming out on Switch. It's not a hard game to make. It's a puzzle game.
Fire Emblem Echoes, though, would that be a remake of the DS version?
Probably. It seems like there's a lot of remakes on this list. Maybe even Detective Pikachu, because that was on the 3DS. That could be a remake too.
We're not getting Let's Go sequels.
I think otherwise. I think we're getting Pokemon Let's Go sequels. Those games are good for like a real casual audience who just sort of absorbs Pokemon through the zeitgeist. They buy the plushes and they want to play that. And I think Nintendo's taking some or Game Freak is taking some risk with Arceus because no one wants to play it. And it's a whole new direction for Pokemon to take. It's a risk. So they had a nice, definite sell in Brilliant Stone and Diamond Pearl, and then they got Arceus in January, like a month later, and it's a gamble. And then in Christmas time, they're gonna say, "Oh, by the way, here's our new Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee 2 or whatever." I think that could happen. That sounds like Game Freak. Here's what I think. Do we think we're gonna get Kirby and the Forgotten Land in 2022?
Yeah,
I think so.
Really?
I think so. I think that will be a highly pushed title from them. I think that it screams summer.
Yeah,
to me.
Okay.
What are the biggest surprises to you guys on this list? Because there's a number of these games where it's like, yeah, obviously this is coming out in 2022. Arceus and
Bayonetta 3.
Yeah, Bayonetta, right, exactly. The ones that
Splatoon 3 is obvious. Yeah,
Mario Rabbids that we've had.
That's obvious.
Solid announcements on.
I think the most surprising thing to me is Zelda, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess as like either a bundle or both games coming to some sort of virtual console.
So why do you assume that this is virtual console and not a remaster? What was the one that just came out last year?
Because don't we got to realize that if it does come to virtual console, it's going to be that the bigger story there is the GameCube games coming to Switch online, right?
Yeah.
And see, I don't see that.
I don't see that
games coming. I feel like we have Game Boy before we even get to.
I guess. Yeah. No. I guess the way I'd see them selling Wind Waker and Twilight Princess in the same fist is as a like the Mario 3D pack that they sold last year. The reason I'm a little hesitant about that one is because it's coming out the same year as Breath of the Wild 2. It seems
Yeah,
like too much Zelda. If I were Nintendo, I'd say let's put Wind Waker let's do Twilight Princess. Let's put Twilight Princess for sale.
Look, wasn't this past year, wasn't it the 35th anniversary of Zelda? They could have put that with Skyward Sword. That could have been their 3 games. Twilight
they
Princess,
sold
Rock
Skyward Sword for $60.
Mhm.
They sold
Yeah.
it for more than what it originally retailed for. So I don't think they're gonna like if they're gonna release those games, they're gonna release those games individually.
Yeah, you're right.
Unless they were unhappy with the sales numbers of Skyward Sword and attribute
Very true.
that to too high of a barrier to entry. Maybe they saw what they did with Super Mario 3D All Stars, and that made them a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And people were generally satisfied with that product, aside from the bizarre time gating.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, if we bundle these things, we'll be better off. We'll sell more copies, and it won't hurt us that we're selling them for half the cost.
That said, rumor has it that Nintendo's actually very happy with Metroid Dread sales numbers. So seeing
It's the
a
highest selling Metroid game, right?
seeing Metroid Prime on here as a remaster wouldn't shock me.
I don't
see it
think that's
happening.
coming out
I don't
next
think it's going to
year.
happen. Definitely not next year. Here's where this list gets a little tricky is when you get into his secondary comments. His next comments in the Twitter thread do include things like Nintendo will be releasing their next console Christmas time of 2023. What do we think? What do we think the
I can believe that.
I don't believe that.
I'm not saying I believe it per se. I could believe it. Like it's not impossible because at some point the Switch is going to be considered outdated. I don't think we're at that point yet.
If you were
but
going
I
to do that,
can
why wouldn't
see
you?
by then they might feel the need to get a new console out there.
For that, I would just push Breath of the Wild, just push it another year and release it with the Switch too.
No, because I feel that they need a big release this year. I feel like they kind of last year
they had
went
nothing.
without that.
They really had nothing. Yeah,
like the year before they had Animal Crossing and nothing else. This year they had nothing else.
Well, they had Metroid Dread, but like that wasn't the same scale. That was not Animal Crossing or Pokemon. That was
right.
Metroid.
Breath of the Wild 2 is a cash cow.
Yeah,
I don't think they want to just gate that behind a new console.
Here's what I think. Sales. Here's what I think about the 2023 release of a new Nintendo console. It's gonna be that ever-present Switch Plus. It's not gonna be a new console, but it's gonna be akin to the Wii U, where it's almost the same, but it's gonna be technically improved.
I would say it's probably more comparable to PS4 to PS5, where it's an upgrade. Like I love my PS5, but it's a PlayStation 4 Pro. Like it's it has some exclusive games, but for the most part, I use it to play most of my PS4 games as well. I feel like it's going to be more like that than the Wii U was. The Wii U, I don't think they're ever going to emulate something like that ever again.
Yeah, no,
like that is not that's not the template they're going to use. I think they'll use something of what PlayStation has done, where the PlayStation 5 is clearly the next generation, but it's still going to be, you're still going to be able to play your Switch games on the new Switch.
But when
it comes to like their old upgrades, like from like Switch or from like Wii to Switch, they completely abandoned that old marketplace, that old everything. Well, they're going to continue that into Switch Plus or whatever it's called.
The reasonable choice would to have some sort of backward compatibility with the Switch, because it was a massive success. It would be foolish for them to move on to something completely new and just leave the Switch completely in like floating in the water.
6 to 7 years is enough time.
Yeah,
I think it's time for a true.
I know it came out in 2017.
Yeah,
it feels like yesterday.
A long time ago.
If it's end of year 2023, it's almost 7 years.
Yeah, I think it's a Switch Plus. I think it's just an upgraded Switch with like higher resolution, better processing. The guy who posted this, or someone in the Twitter chat, mentioned that it would probably have 4K resolution. I don't believe that. at all. But
Yeah, I think we can safely assume. I think it's going to be a whole new console.
really,
But I do think that it's going to be a next generation Switch type machine.
okay.
I hope they don't, Nintendo jump the shark with
wait
it
a
where they try to
second.
reinvent the wheel.
Did
But they
Ben
often do.
did Ben
Sorry,
wink
go
at the
ahead.
camera? Does he know some insider information? I think I saw a wink there.
I can't say that.
I
No,
think he
no,
was
no.
done.
I have never worked with anybody at Nintendo. I can say that confidently.
Destiny 2 coming to Switch, bro.
Yeah, no. It's I have no inside information, but 7 years is long enough.
Yeah,
Like,
I guess
7
you're
years,
right.
7 years is
It's
long enough. That's why I say that.
it's weird. Yeah,
I just can't believe it's been 7 years. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, it
it
hasn't
is
been
going
up
to-
7 years yet.
well,
No,
yeah,
but by the time the new
but
machine,
Yeah,
2023.
it's been like
Yeah.
5 years. But still, the Switch has had a pretty good lifespan so far, and I think that the 7-year mark would be a good place to drop that new console, but still keep that Switch ecospace. I feel like the Switch ecospace is here to stay, but
Hey, well,
it can
let's-
be the better
But let's
device.
also pessimistically, I am
Uh-oh.
gonna say this is gonna be the first console in a while without a Wada running things at Nintendo, and he was the real champion of what I think made Nintendo special, which was he loved fun. He was a fun-loving gamer. He just wanted good times with friends and family. And the new guy and Bowser, villain, mind you. The new guy, what's his name? Furukawa. He seems like a money guy. And Nintendo's had money guys in charge before, and they don't get it. Iwata really got like having fun. When you have a gamer in charge of like a gaming empire, like things work out. But when you got just like a number cruncher, it just doesn't hit right. And could it be a really powerful console? Yeah, maybe. But could it just be a soulless cash grab? Yeah, probably.
Nin-
I don't
Sorry, go
think
on.
they can even though the Switch sold really well, I don't think Nintendo can just afford to release a horrible console in the current space of consoles.
Yeah,
I don't think that's
Nintendo-
something they want to do.
Nintendo has never gone more than 6 years without releasing its next console. I just looked at the dates. It's
shoot.
It's actually averages like every 5 years. It's crazy.
So you're right.
Sounds
It
about
could
right.
actually, it could genuinely be
Look,
2023.
The difference between the N64 and the GameCube was 5 years. 96 to 2001. And then the GameCube to the Wii was 5 years.
Huh.
Do you think this is going to be like the Switch Pro that we thought we were going to get?
No, they need a new console. They need to
Step up their game.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a position now where third-party developers can't realistically develop for the Switch
Cloud version
with the same SKU that they're using for the current gen consoles.
It's so perfect, though.
impossible.
What do you do though? Like what? How do you top the Switch? It's literally incredible. It's
better-
perfect
You
for
make the
Nintendo.
Switch too.
Yeah,
You make the
just-
Switch
Yeah,
too.
Switch 2, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the
just-
Steam Deck kind of proves that you can
Nin-
make a Switch. Too.
But Nintendo's never done that. They've never done a SNES 2.
Yes, they have.
N64,
The,
have they?
The Wii
Wait,
U.
Yeah, and we saw it happen with that. That was a complete bust.
Yeah, but they
No, I mean, the Wii U was significantly different in its input method than the Wii was.
and it was
the
and it was-
marketing of the Wii U is what failed it.
but it was
Because
also but
it seemed like an expansion as opposed to a new console.
they did that too, but I would say it is also a very good precursor to the Switch. Like the whole concept of the Switch came from the Wii U, like the tablet being a gaming pad that you hold around. Like they do evolve on their past ideas, and
They definitely do. But they like to reinvent the wheel, and the design ethos of their hardware division clearly indicates that they are more interested in carving out new spaces than capitalizing on what they're doing well. So I think there's 5,000 ways for Nintendo to shoot themselves in the foot, right?
And
They've done it before.
Dude,
They
they're
can
gonna
do it
do
again.
I
No,
mean,
no matter how well their current console is selling, they can shoot themselves in the foot again. It's their opportunity to give up.
and we know they're
From
going
where
to.
we sit, all we want is a Switch 2.
Yeah.
Right? But we wouldn't have asked for a Switch.
that's true. That's a good point. That's very
a good,
true.
that's a very good point. I just know for a fact they're not going to abandon the ecosystem that they built.
Not for
Switch.
another year or two. They're going to keep the Switch online till like 20.
Like they're not going to it because I mean, you think of like Super Smash Ultimate, you think of like Animal Crossing and stuff. Like they've never really had to deal with the online aspect of games that their games really have now.
No,
where there's community being built around these games. You can't just abandon that. It's kind of different than the last time they were making a new console.
As long as people keep buying re-releases of old Nintendo games, Nintendo has absolutely no incentive to engage in cross-generational, compatibility whatsoever. I mean, the best Mario Kart game on Switch is a Wii U game.
Yeah,
Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game. So I'm like, as long as people are willing to keep rebuying from past generations, I don't think backwards compatibility is a big concern to Nintendo. What is to be seen is whether people still have the stomach for that when they know full well that Nintendo could be doing better and they choose not to, especially with all the shit that people give PlayStation.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I just don't think they're gonna test the waters like that, because when they released the Switch and they abandoned the Wii U interface, Wii U everything, like there was really no precedent for backwards compatibility at that point in time. Like, but all the consoles didn't do backwards compatibility. Like PlayStation kind of abandoned the PS3, Xbox implemented it after the fact. But at that point in time, backwards compatibility wasn't a topic of conversation. Now it is. Like Xbox has prided themselves on the Series X being the ultimate Xbox. You can play all your Xbox games, past, present, future. PlayStation is slowly implementing past games. We expect that PlayStation Now is going to be rebranded and they're going to have more of their past games. I don't think you can make a new system that is just its own thing.
Yeah,
because you cannot play any Switch games. I don't think they're going to do that.
That's right. I don't think they're going to do that either.
I don't think they can afford to do that because they have a lot less money to play with than the other two companies do.
Yeah, because now there's the digital ownership, in which we had it on the Wii, but I mean that was nothing.
Right.
Real quick, what would you think? What would you think that Monolith Studios?
I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to talk about that too.
Yeah.
So the question is, this would be big. What's interesting is that there's a lot of detail in the rest of these. It's like, the actual titles of
except for casual
else.
IP.
And then except for right. Casual IP and Monolith Project.
That could be Robo Chibi. I love Robo Chibi. That could be Robo Chibi.
You feel anything in that.
The Monolith Project could be the Wonder Woman game.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
It could be not a next gen game, but a Switch exclusive.
Yeah.
Kind of
Wait, thing. I thought Monolith was the Xenoblade Chronicles team.
Oh, is it a different monolith? Are there two monoliths?
Is there a different monolith?
I'm pretty sure that's let me look that up really quick. I'm pretty sure that's the Xenoblade team.
Well, okay. Before
because that's a Nintendo owned studio and they do all the support. They did all the landscapes for Breath of the Wild.
Huh.
Yeah,
so I think that's what that is.
You're right. It's not. Yeah, it's not.
It's not the
monolith that we were thinking of.
There's two of them. Yeah.
I didn't make that correlation until you just said it too. I didn't realize that's the two studios.
Yeah, I was totally on board with that Wonder Woman game because Switch had some good success with that Justice League little girl game.
Oh yeah,
the little girl Justice League game that was quite popular on the Switch.
Yeah, I think this is going to be Monolith's latest RPG. That's their own IP because Xenoblade was I don't know if they originally developed the original like Xenogears.
Okay,
but it's going to be a brand new IP, I believe. So that's something we could get, but even then, we haven't heard nothing about that.
So let's just take this as gospel for a second. If this was all true, would this be one of the best years for Nintendo games?
It wouldn't compete with 2017. That's Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey.
You're right. Those are
Mario Kart.
Those are home run stars.
Yeah, it's a good year. It's a great year. Don't get me wrong, but it's still not that year. First year of the Switch was kind of magical.
Yeah. Oh well.
Hopefully, I don't get most of the stuff though. It'd be great.
Untitled
Yeah.
Casual IP. We don't know what it is.
It's gonna be
Casual
it's
IP
gonna
could be game of the year. You never
it's
know.
gonna
It could
be
be
Chibi
Target.
Robo. It's gonna be Chibi Robo 2, and I'm
Chibi
all
Robo
there
2.
for it. Have you played those Chibi Robo games? They're fun. They're fun little games.
No.
They're cheap, fun little games. They're Shovel Knighty. They're fun. They're good little platformers.
Fair enough. Well, we will look up Chibi Robo, but we're gonna get into our first topic. Thanks for the mailbag, by the way. We'll be doing that weekly. So let's talk about this article that was written by Bloomberg's own Jason Schreier. And it is, and I'll just read the headline. The next video game from BioShock's creator is in development hell. So, I mean, that might be framing it in a certain light, but
Could you call that clickbait?
I clicked on it, so I guess
That's true. Let's give
Yeah,
Jason Schreier a little follow real quick.
Yeah, I want kind of Ben to lead the way because Ben kind of
Yeah.
put this to our attention, and I read through the whole thing, and I think this is something that is worth talking about. So Ben, you can lead the way on this.
So the thrust of the article is after Ken Levine, the studio head and chief creative from Irrational Games, decided to close that studio back in 2014 after the launch of BioShock Infinite and its subsequent DLCs. He spun up a new studio fully owned by Take-Two Interactive, the parent company of Irrational, which was a small cabal of people that he trusted creatively to kind of jam away in a much more limited capacity on a new type of game. The idea ostensibly being that he wanted to be free of some of the constraints of working on a big budget AAA game and the expectations therein. So for the past number of years now, I mean, there's like I said, this was 2014, so now we're in 2022.
Jesus.
Yeah, here we are. So for the past about 7 years, they've been toiling away a team of approximately 30 people, give and take. The team size varies over the years. Has been toiling away on different iterations of this project, and much of the criticism here is directly aimed at Ken Levine. This is very much not an article about like studio culture as a behemoth thing that exists distributed across many people. This is very much pointed directly at Ken Levine and criticizing him, particularly his creative style, his work style, I guess, in that he is very much perfectionist. He is very demanding of the people that work under him, and he is in some ways not particularly open to criticism and pushback from his team. So that's I guess the charitable way of reading this article, and I think if I've left anything out, let me know. But those are the basic beats of the article.
Which he brings up Christopher Nolan in the article as another artier of the arts, because he does praise Ken Levine's like storytelling and artistry in gaming, bringing artistry to games, and that's a very fair thing to point the finger at him with. But bringing up Christopher Nolan does make me think of filmmaking, and like a lot of filmmakers are very perfectionist, and it's not exactly a bad thing to want your final product to look the way you want it to look. I for one think more video games need to have that vision, that direction to head in, because I think a lot of video games I've played over the years, I go, this is all sort of team think, and there's a lot of good ideas floating around, but they get lost in the pudding. I I would like more games. I don't want all games to be this way, mind you. I do like some of the more like fluid, expressive games out there, but I do think I would like more games to focus solely on one person's vision and have a team supporting it, bringing it up. So I don't want to lampoon the guy for like wanting to make a good product, his vision. Yeah.
Yeah. It is. I feel pretty conflicted about this article because I feel like there are some things here that I see as pretty valid. I mean, like the most valid criticism here is this line where one of the AI programmers at Ghost Story, Ghost Story is the name of Levine's current studio, says that Levine can become moody and lash out, singling out an individual while berating them in front of their coworkers. That's not that's not a good way to lead a
No,
team. That's
no.
not good management. That's not good.
But
Leadership.
now you might know more about this because he does mention in the article that Ken comes from the world of theater.
Yep.
He worked in drama, and I have a little background in theater, and I know how directors work in the theater space, and they
Yeah.
are horrible people. They are they are so I definitely believe that he is callous. He's
Yeah.
crass. He's
Yeah, I have a little bit of exposure too to the theater world, and especially people who are in that space. And there's a moment in the article where Schreier imputes that Ken Levine has a very big and fragile ego. And if you want to talk about people with big fragile egos, you talk about theater directors.
yes, you are.
They're chief among them. So I mean, maybe that's part of it. I mean, like I know that Ken Levine had, he started in theater and then he pursued being a screenwriter, and then he kind of stumbled his way into video games at a pretty late age.
Yeah.
But I think there's a couple things that rub me the wrong way about this article.
What, the hit piece style?
Yeah. Yes.
It's not a think piece. Thing. It's a stink piece.
Yeah. Stink piece style journalism. That's the first thing. And I think, frankly, the smaller thing. This has like sassy, caustic nonsense written all over it. It's not, I don't know how to put this in a way that's not dismissive, but it's like, one, the content here is not befitting the type of expose that this is framing itself as. And two, it feels like this is just way too personal for Jason Schreier. He is just salivating over every word he types.
There's something about print media recently, or the past like 10, maybe longer years, where the way it's written is in that very matter of fact style. Like I'm looking at Jason Schreier's Twitter, and he does talk like he's right in everything. He's like, "Yep, E3's dead." And that's a good thing. You've seen those articles on like clickbait, aggregate sites where they're like, "Oh, you're gonna need to eat bugs in 10 years," and that's a good thing. Like this sort of condescending tone that just sort of the whole industry is rife with, and it's unfortunate because I wish there was a more casual tone to talk in, but he's just doing what he needs to do to get clicks.
I think the more egregious thing is that it's this sort of low blow feeling kind of delivery coupled with like, what's the message here? What's the purpose of this?
That's a good point.
This very targeted article against a single person who apparently can get pissy and call people out from time to time.
Yeah, that is true, because
and that's the worst thing that they can call, and like can't make up his mind because he's got all the time in the world that doesn't have to make a decision because he created a situation in which his studio could do that. Right. Like, so it's like, okay, organizing my thoughts on this before I jump down a rabbit hole and say some things I'd best
Can't
not
come
say.
back from.
Yeah, exactly. So Ken Levine puts down a studio of 300 people at the height of their power, having just released BioShock Infinite, because he knows he's got a problem with making decisions in video
You're
games because he's a perfectionist. So he gets 30 people or so that he trusts and gets them into a room and takes forever to work on something. Because it's better to take forever to work on something with 30 people than it is to take forever to work on something with 300 people. And that's a big problem. That's not an improvement. So that's the first thing to me. And then the bigger argument, because to answer my own question, the purpose of this is to reopen a tired argument that seems to come around once a year. One of like the 4 arguments we have to have every single fucking year in the games industry. And this is the argument about whether it's okay to talk about specific key creative people as if they are the people who are most responsible for the creation of a game, even though creating games is a collaborative medium. And the way to surmise that is what Taylor said earlier, this auteur theory and whether it applies to games. Auteur theory comes from the film industry. It's something that film critics applied to filmmakers after the fact, right? Like,
Yeah. It was a way to describe French New Wave, and and then it was applied to like Hitchcock and Kubrick. Like, oh yeah, they're auteur.
And the idea is like putting these filmmakers who are in a situation in which they're in a collaborative medium, but still act as though they're like the single author of a book. Yeah. The idea is like they make movies the way that an author writes a book themselves, and it's breathed live out of their imagination. Although even that's not totally true, because authors typically have plenty of people who are checking their stuff. So there's this reductionist argument that says it's bad to talk about people like they're auteurs because lots of people work on games and everybody deserves credit, which is true, I guess. but like, really, people, you really think that BioShock would have gotten made without Ken Levine?
Yeah.
Are you fucking joking me?
Like, as much as I appreciate the person who went in the CGI in Black Panther and sculpted his crotch bulge in 3D, as much as I appreciate it, that person didn't really make the movie. Yeah, I appreciate it, but like,
yeah, he worked on the movie, and he worked toward the vision, the crotch vision.
Yeah,
of the director and the people in creative control. There's a term for this in filmmaking that is not present in the games industry at all. The term is above the line work and below the line work. Below the line work is implementation of the vision. This is like grips, lighting people, people who are like doing sets, makeup, this kind of stuff. This is below the line work. It's not to say that it's not important work, but it's not above the line of demarcation. I don't know. I don't actually know what the line is, what that refers to specifically. But everyone above the line is making creative level decisions that drive the work that people below the line.
This is what we were talking about before. This is what I was trying to say is like, some people actually have an impact on the output. And like, it's very hard to say, like, because the people that do the grips on the floor and do all the lines and everything, they have an impact, but like not on the creative vision.
They're not creating the blueprint.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah. I mean, that's definitely part of it. And I think like everyone has a certain amount of creative control over their sphere. It's a fact in video games. Yeah. And game teams that are run well with people who are responsible with their power can afford a lot of creative responsibility to individual people who are impacting the game in their individual ways. However, if you don't have somebody, whether it's a group of people or whether it's a single person, in this case Ken Levine at Ghost Story, steering the ship, then you will never go anywhere.
Yeah. Which, I can respect. I can respect his decision, because it said in the article you mentioned it earlier. He didn't want to have that sort of feel of making a AAA game. He didn't want that oversight. He wanted to be like independent on his own, but he was still under control of Take-Two, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Ghost Story is owned by Take-Two.
Yeah, and so I can't fault him for not wanting that oversight, because one of the issues with like TV production is if you have an oversight committee or a company in charge, and they look down at you, they're like, go, this is what you're shooting this day, this is what you're shooting next day. And that for those people who quote unquote describe themselves as auteur, like David Lynch or something, they want to sit in that room with their team for 8 hours that day and shoot the same thing over and over again till they feel it's right. That's not a bad thing, but he's set himself up for success by asking for autonomy. And
there's several people like this in the game. Hideo Kojima is one.
Yeah, same thing.
And so was Cory Barlog, I think, was that way with God of War.
Him less so, because that was his first game he directed, right?
But like when he did that press tour, and everyone was giving him praises for that whole game. I mean, because he was the game director. I feel like that really set him apart. Do you remember like seeing all these spoiler casts, and he was all over everything?
Well, after God of War, he directed God of War 2, the original God of War 2, not the new one coming out.
Yeah.
2.
So it was actually his second God of War game that he had directed, and he had worked on the original God of War as an animation director, I think. So he was, intimately familiar with the property, and probably the person who is most tied to God of War as a long-running franchise, right? So yeah, I think like if anyone is the auteur behind the God of War series, you could definitely point to Cory Barlog as one of those people, but he's certainly the creative mind behind God of War 2018, no doubt. Yeah. that this is like.
And Hideo Kojima with Death Stranding. That was that was his.
Would I be right in saying, though, however, at the same time as all these complaints are levied, that the game industry does a better job crediting people who work on the game than the film industry or the TV industry?
Now, I don't know, because like when you have like a Martin Scorsese movie, like everybody just attributes that Martin Scorsese movie. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I thought the film industry had, David Finch, or what'd you say, David Finch earlier?
David Lynch, yeah.
David Lynch. Who was the guy who did Fight Club?
David Fincher.
Fincher.
Yeah. That's it.
Different David. I think he is also an auteur.
He is. But these people have earned it, though, kind of, right? Don't you? I mean,
in a way, yeah.
So, like this is like, okay. This is one of the annoying things that I think when we have these types of arguments, like nobody actually knows what the hell we're talking about. Like we can't agree with what we're talking about. Is auteur a like term of endearment, or is it just something that is used to describe the way a person works?
Yeah.
Right. Because there are plenty of excellent directors in the games industry who are not auteurs.
I think simplifying it to being just director still applies across the board, because you are directing. It doesn't, you don't need to be in complete control, which is why I don't think it's a good thing or a bad thing that he is this way. He just is this way. It's good in this one regard, but if everyone in the game industry acted like this, I'd be like, yeah, there's a toxic problem about that. You can't be in complete control of this, especially since video games take more nuanced work than movies. Ultimately, at the end of the day, there's a lot more committee think that goes into games, I'd say, than a movie. I think there's a lot of moving pieces.
I think that is a term of endearment.
So it's something of an accolade, right? Where it's
that's
like,
I think so.
But
I think in this context, it was used negatively, though.
Right.
When Jason Schreier was using it negatively, but
and I think that's the crux of the argument. That's kind of what I'm getting at, is like this is what I see as the point of the article. The point of the article is to say that you see what happens when we call a person an auteur, and we like let people think that they are creative geniuses and they can do whatever the hell they want. And it's gonna be good.
Okay, yeah. I see. Okay, that was lost to me. I see where you're coming from now.
But like he
Um,
is though. He is a creative genius.
Yeah. Well, so this is kind of what I'm saying.
So
It's like,
yeah, no, I'm with you.
this is sort of what I'm saying. Is like, I don't know whether it's good or bad that he is this way.
Yeah.
All I know is that it gave us System Shock 2
Yes.
and
and
BioShock.
BioShock, yeah.
And BioShock Infinite.
Yeah.
Some of the best games ever made.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you want amazing games, or do you want people to manage their teams exactly the way that you would like them to?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it is sort of like you do end up with either BioShock or Pokemon, and like one of them is good.
Great polls.
No, but I mean I'm
Yeah.
serious. Like we've talked a lot about how Pokemon is
designed
kind of
by committee and
designed by committee, and it's complete soulless. And that's that wanes. I mean, if film directors, if Stanley Kubrick or David Lynch or David Fincher put out a movie every year, if they put out a movie every year of the same quality or varying quality, people would get tired of them. They wouldn't have the same oomph. But like what's his face? Quentin Tarantino puts out 8 movies in his entire career, and they're all basically masterpieces because he put a lot of care and a lot of work into them. He made them the way he wanted them to be made, and we're better for it. But like,
but does that mean that all the people that worked on the Tarantino movies didn't have any say in them, and they didn't get to create them?
Hey, you know what? I know a guy who literally pushed snow sleds for the Hateful Eight. He pushed tech on the set around on snow sleds because they shot in a snowy location. He wasn't credited in the credits, but he's still pretty proud to have worked a little bit on the Hateful Eight. He's like, hell yeah.
And he's proud of it because he got to work on a Tarantino movie.
Exactly. So
And-
there's
So like this is like the snake eating itself kind of thing, where it's
Mhm.
like nobody works at Ghost Story Games except to work with Ken Levine.
sure.
100%.
Nobody knows what the hell they're making there.
Yeah,
There's no game. There is no reason to work at this 30-person studio, except for the fact that
Ken Levine's there. Yeah, the reason to work there is because of
Right,
Ken Levine.
because
That's
of Ken
it.
Levine.
That's the only reason to work
because
there.
he made BioShock, and because he made
Yes.
System Shock 2, and because he's an auteur, and because
Yeah.
if you work on something that Ken Levine is making, that it's going to be boundary pushing, and that it's
Yes.
going to be interesting, and that you might toil away for 7 years and get nowhere, but if you stick through with it to the end, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be something that nobody else is doing, right? So this is where it's like, what do we want? What do we want out of this situation? Do we wish that Ken Levine was the perfect manager? Sure. Do we wish that he wouldn't single people out? Do we wish that he would get over his ego a little bit? Sure.
Yeah.
But do I wish that he would get over, like, legitimately? Trying to put myself in the shoes of the people that work with him. Do I wish that he would get over his ego to such a degree that he's no longer able to create things like BioShock?
Hey,
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think I would.
no, because Stanley Kubrick made a little baby boy cry, and he literally cracked Shelley Duvall's brain in half, and now she's crazy. Like, and I think it was worth it because The Shining was a great movie.
I hear you. I hear that. To that point, like, and the point that I think you're making, which I think is a valid one, is that like there is definitely a line that can be
There's a
crossed.
lot,
And when you're like stepping over the line too much, it doesn't matter how much of a creative genius you are.
You're
Like,
right.
I feel that way about, totally unrelated to his work habits on set. I feel that way about God, what's his name? The dude that directed Rosemary's Baby and The Piano.
Roman Polanski.
Roman Polanski, the
Roman
pedophile.
Polanski.
Yeah.
I feel that way about Roman Polanski. It's just like he's such a despicable human as a person that it's hard for me to, even though he's a creative genius, and he is, it's hard for me to get over that and enjoy his movies because
I've always been a strong believer in that you should be able to separate the artist from their art. Like a lot of people get on me for still being like a huge Kanye West fan, because like, oh, he's despicable, he's a bad guy, and I'm like, he makes good stuff. I like it. What are you gonna sue me? Sue me.
I largely like totally agree with you. I think that, but I do, to your earlier point, like there are lines. Right.
Yeah.
And there are lines, like if you know a certain amount of horrific abuse is going on during the creation of the thing.
Yes.
That clouds the thing, I think.
Yeah.
Nothing in this article, in my opinion, was worth the writing of the article, let alone us looking down our nose at Ken Levine's creative prowess. Like, he can sometimes become moody and lash out, singling out an individual. Sounds like every boss I've ever worked with.
Every person I've ever met. I mean,
maybe
sounds like every person I've ever met in their worst moment. You're right.
Maybe there's a different problem there. And you know what? You know what, Ben? I'll say it, I'll get canceled for the group. Jason Schreier does look like if Danny DeVito was flattened by a steamroller and someone tried to reinflate him and then put a toupee on him. I'll admit it. We've all been thinking it the entire time.
First off, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been in and out this whole time.
You've been plagued with technical difficulties.
Plagued with it, but I'm glad y'all can hear me. I've heard maybe like 25% of what you all have said. I pretty much agree. The worst part of the article to me is there's this part of the article that says the waiting game. I don't know if y'all talked about this part.
I don't think so.
Okay. So it says Ken Levine's new project was supposed to be small, but it's taking longer than even some of the biggest video games. And he lists System Shock 2, BioShock Infinite, Halo Infinite, and Red Dead Redemption 2. And it's like a scale. And like one's 5 years to 6 years to 7 years. And then this one's the longest at 7.5. So it's like even Red Dead Redemption 2 with all the staff took less time than this. I'm like, that's such a way to frame that when there's so many video games that get delayed all the time. And would we rather it come out and be incomplete? Like, why even put that? And it's just it's towards the end of the article, so it's kind of like compounding everything else.
Well, his next article will be talking about crunch, and why crunch is so bad,
and why we're so bad as the Dukes of Gaming.
That's a great throwaway line in this article where he says that because of this thing that Ken Levine decided to do and set up himself, nobody at the studio crunches because they have unlimited time. They have carte blanche from Take-Two to just be creative.
But now Jason Schreier crunches. But now he's going to go after him because he's not crunching.
Not crunching.
You can't win.
No,
you can't win.
See, I remember a point in time, not too long ago in the grand scheme of things, where people are like, "Are video game companies, profitable because there's such a lapse of time between releases, and like how can they make up their money?" I'm like, at very least, he's found a way to continue to make this game while being funded. That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, like this is the goodwill that BioShock bought him, and this is how he chooses to spend it.
Yeah.
Right. Take-Two is going to give him as much money as he needs to maintain this small studio. They're not going to look too deeply, and they're not going to expect things out of him. They're going to give him whatever he wants and needs because they believe that, and it's in the article, they believe that he's got another franchise. And
it's the same thing. Sony did with Hideo Kojima.
Good for him. Great for him.
He earned that goodwill, and Sony gave him a blank check and said, "Go make Death Stranding."
And I think it's all that really matters is the final product. If we play the game and we're like, "Oh wow, this long for this," then yeah, maybe we can come back to this discussion and go,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, like if we were in the context of Ghost Story finally releasing their game, and Jason Schreier is writing this article about this piece of crap took this long to make because the dude could not make up his mind. It's time to get over our Ken Levine idolization, right?
Yeah.
He's not bringing home the bacon anymore.
Yeah, that would have been a much better
different. That would be different. I love, Thomas. I'm glad you pointed out the waiting game section in the article, because my favorite part is it's just like System Shock 2 took 1.5 years, BioShock took 5 years. It's just literally listing how long each
Games have
took.
taken to make.
Yeah, it's not
There's
even
no nuance in it at all. Like there's
no,
no
it's not even
nuance.
like it's not even telling you how many days or anything. It's like it doesn't even get very deep.
Yeah,
And then at the
right.
very bottom, it's like source data compiled by Bloomberg.
Right. Yeah,
I do love that it's only 0.5 more than Red Dead, because I'm like, that's so graphy. You throw a graph up there, anything, you can make anything sound bad. That's funny.
Anyway, we've probably talked about this much more than the whole thing is worth, but in summation,
Jason Schreier, we love you. We think you're a great guy. We want you to come on the show. I'd love to give you a big old sloppy wet kiss on the lips. I don't speak to the group. That's just me. So just saying.
Oh man, all right. Well, I'm sorry I missed most of the discussion, but there's a lot that need to be said about it. So glad Ben led the way with that. Let's end off with a brief discussion, not too long, of course, because we could probably go hours. Let's talk about PlayStation VR 2. Now, Cole, I kind of want you to hear your thoughts first, because you had a lot to say in the last discussion with this, so kind of just want to continue off with that.
The specs look good. I mean, I'm excited for it, but y'all kind of know where I stand as far as the cord situation. I'm not really a big fan of that. I'm not really a big fan of the barrier to entry. Taylor, what's up?
Oh, that's just for YouTube. When I put a link
Oh,
to the next video, I was just
Follow
I was
his
gonna let
finger.
you-
Follow
I thought
his
you were gonna say
fingers.
something. I
y'all.
was gonna say,
Follow his
if
fingers.
click here and you'll see the video where Cole describes what he does or does not like about.
Follow Taylor's
Oh, okay,
fingers.
okay,
They
cool,
won't steal
cool.
you wrong.
What? So the resolution is a step up from the Quest 2. What was it? 2000. I'm trying to pull them up and I can't find them.
So I pulled up it. IGN posted a comparison specs of PlayStation VR 2, PlayStation VR 1, Oculus Quest 2, and the Valve Index. So PlayStation has per eye resolution of 2000 by 2040 per eye.
Ben, what can you say about? What do you think about that? The resolution.
Crunch the numbers.
To me, it seems like an incremental upgrade from the Quest 2. Like, is it substantial? Do you think, or?
Here's a question for you, because you own a Quest 2. Do you ever notice the resolution of the panels anymore?
No. But I will say, yeah, I did notice it in Quest 1. But I will say, better resolution, like you would notice, like virtual desktop. If you pull up virtual desktop, higher resolution would be very nice. But
but you're talking about the rendering resolution of the game. I'm talking about the resolution of the displays themselves. So the only reason you would notice that is if you could see the pixels. And right now on the PSVR 1, you can see the pixels. That's called the screen door effect. It looks like you're looking through a screen door.
Yeah,
You see all the individual squares.
That doesn't exist in the Quest 2.
Exactly.
Yeah, but so you're telling me that virtual desktop could render a perfectly like an image exactly like my PC, and the resolution, as long as the screen door effect's not there, could render that to look just like that? Because I thought the resolution would make that clearer.
You're limited by your graphics processing capabilities. Okay. If you are running 3090 RTX 3090 Ti, you're going to get some really fucking amazing graphics on Half-Life Alyx, something like Half-Life Alyx.
And good for you for getting that graphics card. Good.
Yeah, right. Good fucking luck.
Yeah, pay $4,000 for it.
Yeah, exactly. But so the fact that the Quest is mobile hardware means that even though you've got a 4K screen,
gotcha.
That's not what the game is rendering at.
And that makes sense too, to what you said, because when me and Thomas watched Doin in the Quest and we downloaded it natively to the Quest, it was shockingly clear. Like it was more clear than us sitting. Like I felt like it was almost odd because we were sitting in a theater environment and it was so clear like being in a theater, it would not look that good.
Yeah, it's probably because you were closer physically to the screen than you would be able to be comfortably in a usual theater.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, because you're just playing a video. So as long as the video source is high resolution, you've got really high resolution.
It was a 4K
panels.
stream.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you're getting like really awesome resolution that way. So this is where it's like the resolution of the headset itself is only important up to the point where you don't notice it anymore, right?
That's right.
Where you don't notice the pixels.
We're like diminishing returns at this point, right?
Yeah. So I think we're at the point where the vast majority of people are not going to notice. Really, really hardcore VR people might notice, but the fact that it's more than Oculus Quest 2 means that we're well past the point where you're going to notice, especially if you're, if you're playing video or something like that, you're not going to see it. It's not going to matter. So the question is, what can the PS5 do in terms of rendering resolution on these games? Can it get up to a good enough place where we feel like this is worth the extra $500 over the Quest 2 for the whole thing?
And this is kind of my thing is, and I think it can. I mean, as far as graphically goes, like graphically, it's going to be unbelievable. But to my point, the Quest is better gameplay wise, just for the sheer fact that you're not tethered with the cord and you can take it anywhere. You can go anywhere. You don't have to take your PS5 or your headset and all that crap. You can just take your little Oculus Quest and go anywhere, and you can play it in your garage, or then you can move to your backyard. You can move here, move there. And I play games with the Quest plugged into the wall, and it's still a hindrance. Like, yeah, if you're playing something like Half-Life Alyx, like that would be better untethered, but I know you can't. You absolutely can't. So, I mean, I guess like a driving game or something where you're sitting in place, it wouldn't matter. But for the most part, VR, I like to move around.
No, I might be wrong. I'm not super tech savvy when it comes to VR, but I just know when it comes to just even audio, because audio is my thing. Like, would I prefer to mix in Bluetooth headphones for convenience? Absolutely. But there's no way I'm going to get the sound quality that I would if I just wired it in.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to assume that that's how it works for VR as well.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with a wireless connection, I assume there is some limit you're going to get. Is that fair to say?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. There's no, like, either you're going to stream it from a powerful PC and do there's I forget what it's called, but you like not remote desktop, virtual desktop. I think
you mean the Oculus
Link
games.
There's the Oculus Link, but like that's the cable, right?
Oculus actually has a wireless solution now.
Okay. So yeah, so you're either going to get some latency with the wireless solution and a much better image and ability to play higher end games because you're running them off a PC, or you're going to have to deal with the wire and have no latency. Right.
But I still think, like Thomas, as you mentioned in this video that will be up again here.
Follow his finger, y'all.
Follow my finger. Don't say that. But as you said there, it is more of a luxury product, the PlayStation VR, because I do think day by day, the average consumer is going to look at the Oculus Quest 2 or 3 or whatever, Oculus Quest, Meta Quest, whoever knows what comes out next, and goes, yeah, that's more akin to what I need. I'd prefer that Bluetooth headphone, easy. I can do whatever I want whenever I want. Like, I think a lot of people are going to just be drawn to that. I think it wins in the majority market because of that. I don't.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's no contest. There's absolutely no contest. Like, the Oculus is going to be way more accessible because you're going to need a PS5 to even run this thing.
Well, I do want to say
that's rare right now.
So here are the things I think are substantial upgrades. Like the Oculus runs at 90. Was it 90? Is it 90 frames per second? 90 hertz? Ben,
yeah,
I think.
It says 120.
It goes up to 120, but no games run at 120.
That's right.
Like
that's right.
Like there's a few games that run at 120, but like it's almost like in a beta form or something.
Yeah,
like
they didn't even unlock 120 until after launch.
Yep. So PSVR runs up to 120. That's a big difference. I think that's pretty substantial because that's like smoothness, takes out motion sickness and stuff. I think that's pretty big. And then the field of view is a little bit bigger, which I think that would be about the same kind of increase as resolution, which would be not really
Just to-
noticeable.
No,
Just to be
actually,
specific, field of view for PlayStation VR 2 is 110 and Oculus is 90.
Yeah,
I
what do you
actually
think about that?
Field of view matters a lot more than resolution, especially.
No,
in these
I do
numbers.
too. I do too. But I'm thinking between 110 and 90, do you think it's that big of an upgrade to even really notice a difference? Because I would argue the Valve Index 130 to 90 would be pretty big, but 90 to 110, I don't know that you'd really notice.
And
an extra 20
PlayStation VR
degrees.
1 has 100, so it's 100. It's even bigger than Oculus Quest 2 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, like the PSVR's field of view sometimes feels restrictive. So I don't know. Like 110 is probably not as much as I would want. Like I would love if it was 130, like the index.
Yeah.
But I think the wider field of view that you can get, the better. That's
too.
because
Me
it's
too.
immersion. Like it's all
Me too.
extra immersion. Like you have your peripheral vision in there, and it's just a deeper experience. However, like when we're talking about games specifically, and we're talking about like smooth locomotion, a lot of the fight against VR sickness is reducing that peripheral vision anyway. So it's like, how much are you really using that extra field of view unless you're standing still?
Yeah, because all the games they'll like make your field of view smaller when you walk to get rid of that. One thing though is eye tracking is huge. I feel like, especially because I know Oculus was talking about doing it with like when you talk to people, and you can move your eyebrows and stuff, or they can see where your eyes are moving, and foveate. What's it called? Where the resolution gets better where your eyes are at? Is that foveated rendering?
Yeah, foveated rendering. Yeah, I feel like that's the killer combo. So hopefully Sony can have some sort of out of the box solution to handle some of this, but I think a lot of it's going to be on the engine developers. So Epic and Unity to implement good foveated rendering paired with eye tracking. I don't know if there's already like boxed solutions that developers can work with. I haven't developed in VR in a little while, but the idea that you could track where the user's eye is looking and then make everything they're not focusing on lower resolution so that you can drive up the graphical quality of what they're actually focusing on, that's foveated rendering.
Yeah, so
that already
go,
happens in some games like I think Resident Evil 7 in VR has that, where it's like everything on the peripheral is really blurry compared to what you're likely looking at, which is dead center. However, you can move your eyes in Resident Evil 7,
and you can see it,
and you can see it out of the corner of your eye if you're looking for it.
A lot of
if you have eye tracking, that's going to move with you, so you'll never notice it. You'll never notice the savings that are happening, which is the killer combo. In
that's
my
pretty
opinion.
incredible.
Eye tracking has some other fun things. Like I think especially for Facebook, when they're trying to get like the social experience in there, I think the eye tracking is going to be important for further revisions of the Quest. But unless PlayStation's doing something like a PlayStation Home VR, which they should,
yeah. That should come back.
I don't see the eye tracking like fun extras as all that important. I think it's more
do you think that Facebook will launch their app on PlayStation? Because why not?
Which one? Horizons?
Facebook Worlds, Horizons, whatever they go with. I mean, if I was them, I'd want to be on every device possible.
I doubt
get everybody
Sony
logging
into
into that.
I don't think Sony would. I don't think Facebook would be opposed to it, but I don't think Sony wants to do that.
Wait, they got like Altspace. Is Altspace on the PSVR?
I don't think so.
No, but Rec Room is.
Rec Room is. I mean, I don't really see why they wouldn't.
I think I personally think that Meta does not want to do that because I don't think they want other people dictating their future anymore. I think they view VR as the great escape out of having their future dictated to them by Microsoft and Apple, which it has always been.
That's true.
And Google to some extent. I think if they own the headset, they own the service that you have to log into, and they own the thing you're running, that's the ideal for them.
Yep.
So I get the idea that they would want more people in the software, but I don't think they care all that much. I think they want more people in their hardware.
What's crazy is, you realize that they hired an additional 10,000 people to work on the metaverse? Did y'all hear that article?
I didn't hear
Yeah.
10,000. No,
I mean,
that's
that's more than like Rockstar has working on all of their. I mean, any gaming studio, no one has 10,000 people working on a single.
Well, I have a fundamental
Platform like
question. I have a fundamental question about Oculus in general compared to PlayStation. Do we think they really care about gaming on VR? Like truly care about it?
No, I think they do, because I think that they see it as a bigger picture. I think they see it as us four get on. We can go to a game, go to a movie, do this, do that. I think they do, and I think they know that gamers push the technology.
Because I think that the difference between Oculus and what PlayStation VR 2 is going to be, I think PlayStation VR 2 is going to fundamentally be a game experience. And
Yeah.
I just don't see, I think Oculus is going in the opposite direction.
Yeah,
I think they're going in a like I think you said it before, Cole. They're going in a social direction.
Yeah.
While PlayStation, I
Games-
feel, is
games-
going to push the boundary of what's possible in VR from a gaming perspective.
Games will be a part of that social world, but they're not gonna be to this to the status of like a PlayStation.
You're not getting a Horizon VR game on Oculus.
You're getting Farmville.
Yeah. I mean, I think Metaverse has one, right? Ready at Dawn. That's the one studio I know that they have under their belt. I don't know any of the other ones they have. I haven't seen a pressing need for them to acquire any. I'm trying to think. There was one more studio I think that was associated with them, but I don't know it. And I don't think they really. I think they are focused on other things, and I think that's probably for the best in terms of sales and really getting VR into the mainstream. But I don't think that's what Sony's trying to do here.
Oh, Insomniac.
Did they make it with Oculus?
They made Stormland. I was exclusive to Oculus.
But you can't play that on the Quest, right?
No, you can't.
No, it was a Rift game.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going away from that. I think that maybe was initially what the vision was, but I know they've had a lot of shakeups since it's been bought.
I think they care about gaming as long as it keeps people interested and pushes headsets out. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg cares about gaming at all. I think he sees it as a means to an end to the social experience, like you guys are talking about.
Money.
And
I agree.
Yeah. So in that sense, what do I think the better gaming experience is going to be in the next 5 years? There's absolutely no doubt that it's going to be PSVR 2.
Oh yeah,
100%.
100%.
Absolutely no doubt, because
100%.
games are going to start leaving the Quest 2 behind. They already have.
It's going to become like a Nintendo Switch situation.
Yeah,
where it's just not
we
going
were
to be
able to get
power
Saints
enough.
and Sinners on the Quest 2, and some developers are switching their kind of development model so that they're including the Quest in the umbrella in order to move units, right? But they're limiting themselves in order to do that. So the best games, the most boundary pushing, the most interesting, the shit like Half-Life Alyx, and hopefully this new Horizon game, which was part of this announcement. Hopefully it's not just an experience. Hopefully it's a legit game.
Me too. I hope that.
Which I think it will be, because Firesprite is developing it and they're seasoned devs at this point. That's all going to be on PC, and it's going to be on PSVR 2. And if PlayStation is as interested in VR as it seems they are, it seems that they're not at all cowed by the recent coolness toward PSVR, like over the past couple of years where things have really dried up in PSVR land. It seems like they're not cowed by that, and it seems like they want to reinvest and they want to do it right this time. And I think the biggest differentiating factor beyond all of this stuff, which OLED display, great. 2000 pixels per eye, fantastic. Up to 120 hertz, great. 110 degrees field of view, eye tracking, awesome. It's running on the PS5, great. Best part about this, DualSense controls.
Absolutely.
And DualSense in the headset
In the
itself.
headset. That's right.
So that's incredible.
That's right.
And vibration adds so much. Like that Walkabout Putt game that I've been playing, I was just thinking, how do they make it feel so good. When you hit this ball, it feels like I'm hitting, like it's the sound and it's the vibration of the controller. It really feels like you make contact with it. Like just that little putt motion,
Yep.
and you feel that little vibration. It's humongous, and you don't realize
Yeah.
how even in PlayStation games, when you're playing a PlayStation controller, you turn the rumble on and you turn it off. It's almost like instinctive. Like you don't even really realize it's happening, but it's so immersive.
Oculus Quest 2 has some pretty good haptics right now, but PlayStation is changing the game with haptics.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see how that integrates with the VR experience.
No, I would say this is. I kind of disagree with you there. The ultimate gaming VR experience, it is graphically, but like I've said this so many times, I just like to be able to move in VR, and I like to be able to walk around and not pull my PlayStation off the counter and stuff like that. But I'm glad this exists, and I think, do y'all see a future where PlayStation 7 is just a VR headset? Like you could play flat screen TVs. Like you don't think that this will ever be like their standalone? This will be it. This will be the PlayStation.
I don't. I would go towards no.
I don't really either, but I mean, it's kind of cool to think about.
I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be super cool.
So I could see.
I don't think they throw all their eggs in that basket.
If they don't do that, they will at least do the PSVR 3 should be totally standalone, or at least like we talked about before, where you have the option to plug it in or unplug it. So you have the option for it to be a standalone, like a Quest, and then you can harness the power of the PS5 whenever you need it, like the Oculus Link cable.
That's what I was actually hoping that they were going to do with this the second iteration of PSVR 2. I understand that it's going to drive the cost to produce these things down quite a bit if you don't have to have that wireless component to it.
Mm-hmm.
But if they really wanted to be competitive with Oculus, that's what they would do. However, do they need to be competitive with Oculus? Oculus is going to sell more units. I think we're all in agreement that that's going to happen. Yeah. But Oculus is going to occupy the lowest tier of the VR space.
It would be the Wii. It would be essentially like the Wii, where it's like it's going to be mobile.
It's going to be mobile phones. That's the tier that it's
going
to occupy.
See.
And the PSVR is going to be the gaming PC.
No, the PSVR is going to be the console, and the highest end is still going to be the PC, and it's going to be the Valve Index and HTC Vive, whatever. But so like what they have to do, what PlayStation has to do here is make sure the price is right. I think this headset's going to be fairly expensive.
400, I'm calling it.
I think
you don't think they've lost the market though, because like when PSVR came out, the Quest didn't exist. This was the consumer VR. There was no other one. Every other average gamer had to have a PC. You had to have a Quest. I mean, you had to have the light stations and all that crap you had to have with VR. It was so inaccessible back then. But now the game has changed so much between the PSVR release and the PSVR 2. Everyone has Quest, and everyone's buying Quest. Their parents are buying Quest. Their aunts are buying Quest. Like it's spreading.
Well, and now, like, why would you go define everybody though?
Dude, I've seen. Have y'all not seen a lot of people buying these buying Quest?
Yeah,
like people that aren't.
I agree, it's expensive, but
like it's almost getting. It's not to the Wii status yet, but it is kind of trending that direction a little bit.
I'd have to look up sales for it. I think there is still people who are on the fence about VR, and
so I'm just.
Yeah, I don't think that. I feel like there's a lot more people that are going to join this market within the next 5 years.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you guys have seen. I don't know if you guys have seen, but Oculus is running a really pithy ad campaign right now that is specifically targeting the people that are.
I want to see this.
That are naysayers about VR. So they've got one where it's like.
I think I've seen
they've got one that stars the person who is who runs like the workout app. I forget what it's called. But she's reading some fake online comment, and the comment's like, I don't like VR because I'm not a gamer nerd. And then she does her whole workout thing. She's like, VR is about working out. It's not.
I have seen. Gaming. Yes, I've seen that one. Yes, I've seen. Yeah.
So there's a couple of ads like that. There's another one where with their battle royale game where they're like, VR is dead until there's legit multiplayer, and they're like, what do you call this? This is multiplayer. Blah 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 blah. So they're definitely like trying to target those people that have dismissed VR in the past. But Cole, I think the argument that you're making about there being a renewed interest in VR means that there's absolutely opportunity for Sony to take up some of that mind.
Yeah, and you know, maybe you're right, and I hope you are right, because I want VR to succeed, and I want to play awesome content.
Like there's a
on
big market
PlayStation.
potential. Like
And
we maybe have 20% of the market for VR unlocked.
So maybe it's the
And there's
opposite
so
of what I
much
said.
more.
Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's the fact that the Oculus Quest 2 has drove the interest up tremendously. And when PlayStation releases theirs, they're going to flock to it.
Yeah.
I was just kind of saying, my initial thoughts were, well, everyone's already getting the Quest. Are they really going to jump on board? Oh, what do you have to play that? The Quest is just standalone. Yep. You got to have a PlayStation 5, which no one can get. You got to have the cord. You have to be sitting. We can't take this to our friend's house. We can't take it in the backyard when we're drinking and playing, you know, like, I was just wondering like that, like, but you may be right.
I think you're going to have a similar, like, the markets are going to divide into the kind of tiers that we're used to seeing. And the people that are really into PlayStation are going to get the PlayStation VR. The people who are not all that into gaming are going to go for the Quest. And the graphics whores are going to stay on PC because that's right. the best of the best. So like, I think, I don't think, you know, this is going to like totally reshape the typical pockets that people fall into with this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think like you go to your aunt's house and you've never played VR before and you check out the Quest and you're like, wow, this VR shit is really cool. I've got a PS5 and I know they have a Horizon VR game. I love Horizon Zero Dawn. Time to get a PSVR.
Yeah, and it works the opposite way too.
I was convinced to do that by the Quest, right?
And it works the opposite way too. Your aunt comes to your house. She tries your PlayStation VR. Oh, I don't have a PlayStation. Well, hey, you can get the Quest. That'd be perfect for you. Right.
Yeah.
You know, so.
What we used to say on Saints and Sinners was that a rising tide lifts all boats, right?
And that's true.
And that's true. That's the case. Like the success of any one VR game bolsters the chances of all other VR.
Hey,
games.
when one cash register's ringing, they're all ringing.
There you go.
Dukes, I'm feeling nostalgic.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. We're talking
going
about
back to the Virtual Boy?
No, we're talking about VR, PSVR, and I'm like, I miss the Vita. Miss the Vita, yo.
This is their new Vita.
All the hottest goth chicks used to have a Vita.
The Vita is one of the most interesting things Sony has ever released, for sure.
Love the Vita. I love the Vita.
I never owned one.
Can I be one of your hot goth chicks?
You can be one of my hot goth chicks any day, Ben. Subscribe to his OnlyFans. And us, and Dukes of Gaming. That's how you get access. God.
Oh man.
The world has changed.
The world has changed. Hopefully VR becomes more adopted in general because, like you said, a tide lifts all boats. So we'll be on the lookout for that. And if there's nothing else, I want to thank everybody for listening or watching the Dukes of Gaming. Again, you can listen to us on your favorite podcast service. Watch us on YouTube. Leave a like, a review, a comment, anything to help support the show. If you want to have your mailbag read live on air, just email us at therealdukesofgaming@gmail.com. All of our socials are down below. Hit the bell as well to get notifications. We post everywhere, every week. So make sure you start your week right with the Dukes of Gaming. I bid thee farewell.
I should end this.